I was in the front passenger seat with a sergeant driving there. Our gunner was in the turret, of course. And there's an IED that goes off all the way. This was no big deal because it was just one of those ones, you had to get the feel for it. You're just like, it was, this is, you knew you're going to be all right, you know what I mean? So we're driving through, you have to be like, oh yeah, we just got hit by an IED, and think that's pretty badass, you know? And it's a story to tell, it really is. So we get there, and of course that's what we do, is we tell them, yeah, we just drove through an IED, watch out for them pricks, you know what I mean? And the bastards that sent that shit off, they roll down if need be, tell them where it's at, maybe they can get a look at. So when we pulled in, they were pulling out, and I was just creepy, it was like a boom, it was, of course another ID, except this one was like right close to home. This place was practically like our driveway where we pulled in, we had the kind of the wall set up on the road, so we kind of took the homies off them to go into the bridge, and then when they came out, they did the same thing. Except right when they came out, and we parked under the bridge where we couldn't really see them, that's where there's a boom. We have walkie-talkies, and the screams of the walkie-talkies were what sticks with me. It's like, I can't even reenact it, you know what I mean? And we just knew something bad happened, and we would start up the motors, because we would just set them off, and just pull right around the board. We just pulled in, and sure enough, like the Humvee's on fire. I think there might have been a defect with the Humvee or something, because this freaking IED ended up busting through the windshield or whatnot. And so I distinctly remember running out, and this is where the two buddies I just leave, by the way. And I run to the door, and he's slumped over the driving seat with his blood trickling down everywhere. And I got a eerie look at it. I just froze. My eyes went like this, and luckily the sergeant just kind of got me out of the way and took charge while I took the fire extinguisher and helped get off the rest of the fire. As I'm doing that, I'm looking back. My one buddy, he's got lacerations on him. I guess he broke his ribs or whatnot. He was in the gunner's hatch, and they were helping him the Humvee. The other guy, it was really bad. I think they needed a stretcher or something. It was all such a blur. But that could have been me. I mean, the driver's seat was comparable, when the passenger seat pulling in there was comparable to the driver's seat pulling out. My buddy was the driver. And I don't know why the hell that thing didn't go off on me. It went off on him, but that was pretty intense. That's something that sticks with you.
One of my fellow soldiers, we'll just keep him nameless, whatever. He was the team leader of my squad. He was the other team leader. He took 5 rounds of 7.62 from it's an insurgent, and it's a .308 caliber. And in his legs, broke both his legs. He had severe arterial bleeding. So it was probably one of our biggest. Everyone was close to him. He was a great guy. Always going out of his way to help everybody. He went down, and of course, we responded appropriately, in that area and everything, and he took care of business. But he was really, it was really an eye opener. That was a couple months in. We've been shot at, and we've heard of other guys in the company getting shot, and stuff like that. But when Eddie was down, you're covered in your buddy's blood, and you're running around, knocking on, kicking in doors, and trying to find who's responsible. And that's probably, I'd say, one of the most memorable.
We took fire a few times, small arms fire. I was never hit by an IED. There was one truck in a convoy that I was on that was hit by an IED, but it was very minor damage. There were other convoys that went out that there was more serious damage. Like that one, like I said, when we lost these 2 soldiers on the first convoy up, I guess an IED hit their tire, and the actual IED itself didn't do the damage, but it was on a bridge overpass, and it blew out the tire, and they lost control and went over the overpass, and the truck caught fire. The one soldier, the private that was dying, he catching fire, and he ended up passing on about 7 months later.
Investigation, there was like 2 155 rounds strapped together, and with a bunch of C4 strapped on top of that. Yeah, we fortunately had the medic with us in the back, so as soon as we got knocked around, we kind of woke back up and realized what had happened, and my gunner grabbed me and put me out of the, dragged me out through the gunner's hole, and then he went over and got my buddy out of shotgun. And then by that time, the other trucks had realized what happened and started circling back. And then probably within 25 minutes, medevac chopper came down and got us. So it was pretty. We were pretty lucky, Going from one extreme to another extreme is always difficult at times. I would say I got off better than most that come back sometimes. Some guys have real bad PTSD, or maybe they saw a lot of bad things happen and it takes them a while to adjust to civilian life again. For me, I didn't have that problem. At least I don't think I did. Maybe I do, and no one's told me yet, right? But for me, I didn't luck out, but I guess I gradually came back into the civilian world because I was in the hospital for a couple months. So I kind of take it easy and go at my own pace and see how things are operating in the civilian life again, and seeing how things are operating back home. And then I went back to my unit, and my guys weren't back yet, so it was kind of like a downtime, not a lot going on, and you kind of ease back into the way of life that you were living and civilian life. So by the time I got out, I was in the hospital for 2 or 3 months. So by the time that was all said and done, I had pretty much well adjusted to the civilian life. So I didn't really have too bad of a time adjusting back. It's always small things like driving here is a lot different than driving in Iraq, or I don't like being in small places. I don't like a lot of people being next to me. That kind of bugs me out, but that's just minor things, A lot of people don't like that anyways. So I didn't really have that big of a difference between there and back home.